Hello and welcome to today's almost daily devotion. We're in the book of James, chapter 3, and we're going to start with the first verse, and it goes like this. My brothers and sisters, not many of you should become teachers, because we know that teachers will often be judged more strictly. We all make mistakes, but those who don't make mistakes with their words have reached full maturity. Like a brindled horse, they can control themselves entirely. When we bridle horses and put bits in their mouths to lead them wherever we want, we can control their whole bodies. Consider ships. They are so large that strong winds are needed to drive them, but pilots direct their ships wherever they want with a little rudder. In the same way, even though the tongue is a small part of the body, it boasts wildly. Think about this. A small flame can set a whole forest on fire. The tongue is a small flame of fire, a word of evil at work in us, and contaminates our entire lives. Because of it, the circle of life is set on fire. The tongue itself is set on fire by the flames of hell. People can tame and already have tamed every kind of animal, bird, reptile, and fish, and no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil full of deadly poison. Boy, how true is that? How often do our mouths get us in trouble? Either because we use it in the wrong way or because we don't use it at all. But our mouths, our tongues, often run away from our hearts. They often run away from our brains. They get moving, and then a day later, 2 days later, we realize maybe I shouldn't have said that. I saw a poll the other day where people were asked which they regretted more, not saying something in the moment or saying the wrong thing. And 2/3 of all people regretted the thing that they said. And when they asked him why they did that, the pollsters said that most people said that they didn't say what they meant to say, that it came out in a way that was different than what they intended, that their tongues ran away from them. It reminds me of that advice in the musical Hamilton, where Hamilton meets Aaron Burr for the first time, and he says, would you like to get a drink? And Burr says, sure, I'd like that. And then he says, can I offer you a piece of free advice? And Hamilton says, sure. And he goes, talk less, smile more. And Hamilton says, you got to be kidding. And in many ways, that frames the whole theme of the musical, which is Hamilton is always letting his mind, his tongue run away with him, and it ends up costing him everything. His wife, his child, his life. And Burr gets nowhere because he doesn't ever say anything. No one ever knows what he stands for. I think in the end, what matters, what's the most important thing, is that not whether we talk too much or not enough. Both are problems. If we don't speak up and stand up for what we believe, what we think to be true, that's also a problem. I think in the end, what the problem is that we don't take the time to make sure what we're about to say is what God would like us to say. We use our brains, our business brains, or our emotional hearts, or whatever, to put a lens, a filter there, when the only filter that really should be there is God's voice, God's filter. And it's not about talking less and smiling more, or talking more and smiling less, or any of those things. It's not about holding your tongue and not saying anything at all, and it's not about talking all the time. It's about God's voice being the voice that comes out of your mouth. And that takes time but it also takes time every day. The more we practice it, the more that we learn how to do that, the more that we put God's words in our mouths, the easier it will be to speak them. So how does your insecurity cause your tongue to be a problem? And how does your hurriedness cause your tongue to be a problem? Maybe it's time to take a break and to practice. Is this what God would want me to say?